Greetings from Jerusalem to New York. It's 9/11 wherever you are today, and I wanted to share a few words that I hope can offer not only solace, but a little bit of strength in what is for many a very difficult time. You know, our tradition has a lot to say about the power that tragedy offers as we move forward in life and incorporate it into our character. And I think probably the best place to look, though it may feel a little bit strange, is at the beginning of the book of Lamentations, of Eicha. It's speaking about Jerusalem, but like I said, here we are in Jerusalem, and I'm looking out at you. It says, how sits the city solitary that was so full of people, she's become like a widow. It goes on to say that she weeps sore in the night, and her tears are on her cheeks. Now, I happen to actually be here in Jerusalem on 9/11 these many years ago, but my brother was working in Times Square, and I'll never forget it, that all the protestations of he and my mother, you can't go to that place in the Middle East, it's so dangerous, and then here I am on the phone, frantically trying to reach him and see if he was okay. Now, thank God he was, but I know it's not true for many others. And the question is, what do we do with that? What do we do with tragedy in general? And what do we do with this very difficult time in American history? Well, there's one thing I can tell you for sure, and that is we have a power to transform, like I said, tragedy into a source of real identity. And before I go all the way there, I have to say also, it's a message which isn't just relevant to the people of New York or those of us who have a connection there. It's actually a message which is seasonal for the entire Jewish world, and dare I say, to humanity. You know, in our traditional liturgy here in the month of Elul, in the last month in certain respects of the Jewish calendar, we add a very special psalm. That's Psalm 27. I encourage you to look at the whole thing, but to me, the message of Psalm 27, which resonates with 9/11, is the line that says, though a host should camp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, even then I will be confident. And the question is, what gives us confidence in times of war? Now, this is a message for Elul because even though many of us aren't surrounded by literal enemies, it's a time in which we look our life in the face. It's a time in which we hold our failures not as something that we hide from, but something which we confront, and therefore we feel their pressures. But we do it with a real sense of faith. What's that sense of faith? If you read through the rest of the psalm, what does David want more than anything else? Shifti beveit Hashem kol yemei chayai, that I should sit in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. That even if you're not the type to sit in the house of the Lord, you should know that you're never alone. That even in the midst of your tragedies and your troubles, be they the national ones like 9/11 or the seasonal ones like now in Elul when we're actually looking ourselves in the face, you are never alone. And in many ways, are you never alone? Of course you're never alone, but it's the very times of tragedy that allow you an opportunity to feel the divine closeness. There's no promise in our tradition that everything will be okay. The promise is that even when things aren't okay, God is there with us. Our community is there with us. We can be there for each other. Because really to be a Jew means that you are never alone. And so, just to wrap it back around to the beginning, you know, I started off with this image of the city that sits alone, the weeping that really comes from loss. And I'll offer you a thought that those difficulties themselves can be an opportunity to really feel closeness. Closeness with God, closeness with family, closeness even with the strangers on the street who've shared a national tragedy. But really, the final message I want to share also comes from Psalms. If you look a little further on, in Psalm 126, it may be familiar to some of you, we get what to me is the most redemptive message of the Jewish tradition that says, Hazorim b'dima b'rina yiksoru. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. Because I can promise you that tragedy is really a source of strength and identity. Because when we feel the closest which is available through shared sorrow, that gives us an opportunity to grow into the people we haven't yet become. And so I just want to say to you in this Elul season, and on this very difficult day in American history, that those who manage to transform their tragedies into a source of intimacy and even positive identity are those that will merit to reap in joy. And to all of us to take the opportunity to be a little bit closer to